yoga correctly, your orgasms become easier and much more powerful and joyful sounds. And they believe you've got to do process exercises to get rid of all of your past trauma and all of your sexual conditioning. And that's a good practice. It's time consuming and there's no end to that. A lot of people say they work out all their karma from this lifetime and suddenly they're working out karma from their last lifetime. And Tantra yoga is about this lifetime. Do the practices that awaken the sleeping consciousness in each of the 7 chakras from bottom to top to move blocks in the conduits or nadis that carry energy from the chakras to the physical body. And that energy tends to make one younger than their years, healthy, and a tremendous amount of sexual energy. Now, if you think sexual energy, that must be bad. You'll be horny all the time. But sexual energy is the creative energy, creates life itself. So it's used in practices of manifestation or sex magic. I don't like to use the word magic because it scares some people. But using your mind, your thought, your breathing, your intentionality, and your purity, knowing that what you're requesting, you're worthy of. And my life has been filled with miracles where I have asked and I have received. And I teach as one of the practices in my Tantra yoga classes, sex magic. But I also teach breathing, which is an essential component of powerful lovemaking. I teach about the energy body, because if lovemaking in your physical body is something you like, when it's in your energy body too, it's more powerful, more beautiful. You're radiant when you finish this sharing of making the two become one. So here I am now, supposed to be retired. I was going to teach one more year and then COVID hit. And I discovered it's really kind of nice to not go all over the United States and world. And I've been doing the Tantra Crusades since '78. So that I figured I'd put my time in. And if I'm supposed to still teach, I'll get that word. I've spent the last 3 years fighting a type of cancer that's very rare, sarcoma. And here I am, a miracle looking at you.
Charles, we celebrate that.
We celebrate that miracle.
Very, very much.
Absolutely.
You mentioned COVID, so I'm just going to say, in all that you teach, many of the relationships we hear maybe have gone cold during the quarantine. What can you tell us something about how perhaps to come out of that?
Yeah, well, when you're quarantined with the person you've married, you don't get the 8 or 10 hours where you're apart. And every relationship brings to it its unique karmic relation shit. And you trigger each other and you push each other's buttons. And that's part of what helps us grow as a couple, working through that stuff. So couples are stuck with each other and now they've got the kids to educate. And the first thing that falls is the sex. And they push each other's buttons and they don't even want to have sex. he withholds his intimacy, she withholds her sexual Shakti or sexual energy. And the longer you do that, the further you part as a couple, the less connected you are. Tantra brings you into connection. So during COVID, spending 6 months when I was getting ready to die still, I created 6 movies. I had done my most advanced Tantra seminar, my level 5 instructors from all over the world, saying, I want to teach the secrets I have been told not to teach. And did in that course and led them through a series of classes. You know how there are yoga sequences where you go from one posture to the next and then to the next posture, and then you do pranayama and then you do backward bends. Well, in Tantra, over the years, I cultivated sequences of metaphysical foreplay, of how to touch, how to kiss, how to embrace, using the energy system, using the chakras, coordinating the breathing, bringing all of the consciousness, the focus to the practice. This is the most important thing to do every day, to connect. It's not about orgasms, nice if they happen. It's about us putting the world aside and creating love from wherever we are. We could start shut down, I got a headache, I don't even love you anymore. And that's where a lot of them are during COVID. And I created 4 of those classes, each one of them more advanced, and 2 white Tantra or Laya yoga classes, where I taught the secrets my master had taught me and said, this is secret technique. You are not to teach this to anyone. Mm-hmm. If you teach this technique, next lifetime you will be cockroach. So I took some chances, and those classes were extremely powerful. And during COVID, I had filmed those back in August before COVID. I made them into movies. I added a soundtrack. I planted in the background the yantras, the geometric symbols of power that lie within each of the chakras that activate the chakras. And I used special effects to show the energy that moved chakra to chakra. And they are the most powerful yoga classes anyone could find. If one does hatha yoga, very often they don't even add the pranayamas. They don't make it a meditation. They make it more and more physical in nature. And these are physical exercises. They give you benefit, but they're also geometric poses of energy that you go into, and that brings your mind to the chakras. And there you keep your focused mind and you breathe in particular ways. There's a whole series of pranayamas. So my advanced students have been loving those classes. And some of those couples that hadn't connected during COVID said, this is miraculous. We start out so shut down, and you get us bringing our bodies together, connecting the chakras, and you get us harmonizing our breathing. And then you slowly get us do things. Instruction in touching that's metaphysical, beyond physical touch. And by the end of the 20 minutes or 40 minutes or 60 minutes, we can't wait to get to bed, because we were closed at the start of the practice, and doing the class opened us up.
Charles, is this
so? That's
would this work then into your truly what you do for a living, which is sexual healing techniques? using over 40 years, I know, of experience. Is that all part of it, or is that something else?
I have other programs that teach about sacred spot massage, a term I developed. It was not an ancient Tantra practice. You learn a Tantra not from a book, but from practicing it. And I lived a rather outrageous life as a single Tantrika. And then I married a most outrageous and wonderful triple Scorpio. And we lived an extraordinary lifestyle. She would find women that needed my healing and bring her to our temple, and I would do this sacred spot ritual. Now, sacred spot or G-spot massage or yoni massage has become a worldwide movement. They have different names, and they teach the beginner components of it, but they've usually learned it from someone who learned it from someone who learned it from someone who took a beginner's course with me.
Yeah.
So it's a little watered down. And I have the footage, the more advanced sacred spot footage that I'll be working on when I get back to California after a nice vacation and a visiting time, where I demonstrated everything. And everything happened in a session that could happen. There were areas of pain inside the sexual center. There were pockets of powerful suppressed emotion from trauma in their life, or simply the misinformation we're given about sexual energy in our upbringing, that it's bad, that it'll take you to the devil, that it should only be done to create a baby. But I think one of the recent popes said Catholics can enjoy sexual love, but not excessively. We're about excessive. We want it big, beautiful, so that you grow in love over the course of your time together. And that's what I'm doing now, as well as marketing these new creations that none of my people know about yet.
Charles, I'm sure that the release of all these new things that you're letting out is tied in with your remission of cancer.
That's right, it has to be. He's 85% cancer-free.
Yes.
And it's not apart from what he teaches.
Yeah.
No, the prognosis is a complete cure. And I really don't care if it's all of the people who love me praying for me, if it's my own inner work, if it's keeping my body alkaline and lots of oxygen and eating mostly the correct thing. I figured if I was having cancer, a little sugar was okay.
I love that. Charles, before we run out of time, where can people find out more about you and anything you want to say about, perhaps you have a website or any gifts or thing?
Our website is Source, like the source of all light, Tantra, spelled like Tantra, but it's Tantra.com. And on that, you'll see the free offer for the first of the practice tapes that I created during this period. I figured I'm going to give the first one away. And I also gave away a movie we created some 25 years ago and spent almost $250,000 producing, showing things that had never been shown. And it's actually 20 years later where I broke even. So I decided, let me give this away. It's still the most beautiful movie on Tantra. and the most educational. So on our homepage, it says free offer, and there's that, and I don't know, 6 chapters from my new book, and old videos, and a link to 85 YouTubes that each teach something. So you can learn a lot from going to the website. There's 78 media articles where I made each of those writers come to the course if I was going to let them write about it. And that always changed what they perceived. That some of them had amazing experiences. And my book, Tantra, the Art of Conscious Loving, which I'm imaginarily holding up right now, it's in its 30 year of continuous publications. Wow. It's selling more than it did its first year, 8 languages. And it's available in paperback now. You can find it online, used copies of the original edition signed by Charles at one of his courses. So it's still one of the best introductory books to Tantra, the Art of Conscious Loving, and that's its name. And the website has all of my babies, all of the things I've created over these 42 years. I guess it's 8 videos, 2 movies, 2 Hollywood movies were based on my work. And you have links to all of that stuff if you have nothing else to do. But if you watch those YouTubes and you watch these free programs and you practice, you'll know the value and the beauty of this ancient art that I had the honor and the audacity to start teaching in my yoga curriculum. And they so loved it. And people came out of the woods. We want you to come to our city. We want you to come to the Big Island. We want you to come to Houston. We want you in LA, where I taught the movers and the shakers of Hollywood about how they needed to put more love in their lovemaking scene, keep their eyes open, and speak words of love and not close their eyes and pound for 2 minutes, because that's sex, and sex is a biological force. Lovemaking is a learned skill. And I urge everyone, if you are sexual, to learn the art of sexual tantra, the art of conscious loving.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, and I want to remind people there is also another website called the artofconsciousloving.com. So that's another website for people to go and check out. And sexual energy isn't just about having a partner. I think, Charles, you opened with that statement that it is about oneness and creating that within you. And sexual energy applies to so much more in life than just the physical act of lovemaking. And you really are a pioneer in teaching these methods and bringing up a topic that, for I guess when it was started and even today in some cultures, is taboo.
Even today in our culture, we're such a Puritan nation. I mentioned that before. Just the idea that we want to talk about it today, I'm sure there was flack about it. And so I am so pleased that you've done the explanation and we could see you. And for all of your years, Charles, thank you so much. We are actually out of time. So I just want to say one more thank you very much, my friend, for coming all this distance and being with us.
Thank you for having me and introducing to your people this work, because it's the chakra with the most shadow where we need to do the most work.
Yes.
And it awakens the most consciousness because it's connected to all the other chakras.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I guess it's time for our 10-minute break.
Yes, it is.
And so we'll all see you in 10 minutes for the Circle of 12. Welcome back, everyone. It was great to have Charles, and the subject that he has brought up, and the whole idea of tantric, is not for everybody, but truly it fits into a whole new paradigm of spirituality, if you think about it, and especially what I told you earlier, what Kryon has said about intimate relations between light workers being one of the most profound spiritual attributes we can experience. And so it fits right in with everything Kryon has said as well. And we welcome Charles to the show, and it was nice to have him.
Yeah, and I really like that phrase of the art of conscious loving.
Yes.
That's also Pleiadian Star Mother energy.
It truly is. It truly is.
Yeah.
All right.
So we should do the circle of 12.
Let's do it.
And as we enter or prepare to enter the circle of 12, I'm going to ask some questions for you to ponder in preparation for our circle of 12 meditation. And my first question to you: is there a grander purpose for my being here? Is there a grander purpose for my being here? Is there a grander purpose for my being here? And the next question for us to ponder: is there something I am to remember from my Akash? Is there something to remember from my Akash? Is there something I am to remember from my Akash? And the last question is: what can I do to enhance the energy around me? What can I do to enhance the energy around me? What can I do to enhance the energy around me? Let us make a statement of intent that I am willing to receive the answers to my questions, and I give permission to my soul and the Creator to reveal them in a way that I can understand. I am ready, dear Kryon, to come a little closer.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon. Come a little closer. Each time we come before you in this meditation, we are truly aware that we are what they call pushing the envelope of reality for many. We are also aware that there are a lot of you that come along because this is feeling good. And perhaps you're not fully participating or aware of all of the things that we wish to push towards you that are the new tools and the beauty of who you are and the discovery. And that you're not really truly aware of all of that yet, but it feels good. Indeed, it should. All of the things that we teach, and even from the beginning, all of the things that we have presented should somehow ring with truth. Not only ring with truth, but to those who are open, it should feel correct. Sometimes we'll get comments from those who will say, well, I want to feel good, but somehow it doesn't. And if you start looking at that and examining that, dear ones, suddenly you find out that there are others involved, not just you. And that seems to be a battle you have from those who have told you one thing that is starting to fight with that which you start to realize for yourself. In other words, what I'm saying is there are still so many people on this planet invested in having you not here. These things that we give you are natural, beautiful, and they represent a core truth that is not necessarily what is believed by most on the planet. And so it is truly seeming to be avant-garde. It seems to be perhaps the cutting edge of strangeness to some. What if instead it's a marvelous, profound truth that has been laying with you and perhaps in your akash for a very long time, and that's what attracts you here. There are some who say, well, coming here is a dangerous thing because Kryon will lead you to that place which is proprietary to something Kryon wants you to see and do, and will take you right out of that which you're trained to believe, perhaps in a doctrine. And what we have said to this is use your intuition. Do not come this way unless you wish. What we are offering does not go against your doctrine, dear ones. It enhances the love of God. And if that's not in the doctrine, then perhaps you ought to look at another doctrine. All those doctrines on the planet which talk about the beauty of the Creator, the love that is there, all of those doctrines, this enhances all of them. It may go against that which you've been told you are permitted to do. But that has to feel right for you as well. These things must feel correct. That takes what we will call the beginning of an awakening intuitive sense. I'm going to tell you something about those who are listening, something that I know about all of you. There are various shades of old souls who are watching and listening to this right now. And what I mean by that is that old souls who have graduated through many, many, many lifetimes, there is a layer of perhaps those who have had over 100 or maybe even over 1,000 or maybe over 50. So you might say in a school of learning, there are many grades of those old souls who would come here and listen. But almost all of you have something in common. An old soul who has been through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime and ends up on the planet right now. That particular old soul, that personality of either gender, often has an attribute. And the attribute is that perhaps you've been a little bit of a black sheep. That is to say that maybe you didn't simply do as you were told. In other words, many seekers are listening. Those who wanted to go a little outside of the box and find out what else might be there. Or perhaps the training that you got in those places where they give you the doctrines didn't ring totally, completely correct. We have said this before. We are not here to be anti-church. We're here to enhance the beauty and the glory of the creative source. This means that a grander truth is going to enhance you. What if there was a lot more than has ever been given to you in any of these lifetimes except for perhaps the very first ones? Could it be that inside you, hiding, are things that have been implanted there, implanted in a way that is not harmful, implanted just as perhaps you would serve food, but hiding in the food there was some kind of a release of flavor that happened later. Something that the cook perhaps built in as a surprise. It says, I'm going to give you this meal, but wait, savor it, because something is coming. And then you eat the meal and you're about done, and suddenly On it comes, and that is a super release of flavor and beauty. And you go, this was the best meal I've ever had because of that way, somehow that release worked. This is what's going on right now on this planet. And it's not just for old souls. There are levels of release of Akashic truth happening on the planet. Not just old souls, but there are implantations of a higher consciousness in almost all humanity. And what I mean by that is the aha experience that so many are starting to have that are not old souls, that would lead them into perhaps a higher vibration of integrity or transparency, or those who would look at the situation and say, this isn't right. Let's fix it. They're new, you might say, in that attitude because it wasn't here 20 years ago or 50 years ago or 100 years ago. It doesn't mean they're old souls. It means they're feeling a release as well. And you might ask them as a group, why now? And they say, we're feeling something. That's elementary. And it's starting to happen on this planet more and more. Elementary awakening of a higher consciousness, more honesty, more transparency, more benevolence. These are basics. But the old soul, you are awakening to implantations that you've had of a grander truth. What about the one we talk about, the ability to work with your soul? Those are blasphemous words to so many who would tell you, stay away from Kryon because he's dabbling in things that he should not dabble in. You shouldn't go there. You shouldn't do that, they might say. Not understanding that you were brought here for this. Humanity, it's time, humanity, for you to learn the rest of the story. The rest of the story is that you were born magnificent. You have gifts and tools that some of the shamanics have shown you and the masters taught you. And because they're so grand, you don't think actually they belong to you. They belong to the special ones, you'd say. They belong to the saints, you might say. Only those who have done a miracle or two can be the saints, you might say. That's who they belong to. Not understanding that all of the teachings of the masters said that humanity has this ability if they vibrate high enough. That's been the message always. Perhaps you're here for a healing. What does that mean to you? Perhaps you're waiting for someone to come along and perform the healing. Is that truly why you're here? Do you think that that's truly how it works? What you've been taught all of these years, is go find the professional who will help you. Very, very few have said go inside and find the magnificence you came with and cure yourself. And that's what we are teaching. The Circle of 12 requires that you come along for a ride if you wish. And if you do, you will cross a bridge. It is indeed a metaphor. It all is. It's a visualization if you choose to see it. So many of you have crossed a bridge, so it's not that difficult. We talk about this bridge right now. I'm going to ask you to cross it because today we're going to do something even a little different, and this time perhaps a little more mature than some of the other times. The known is how you live today. The 4 dimensions you live in, well known to you, not scary. You get up and you work with things in the senses and the 4 dimensions that you have, and you're happy with all of them. You understand all of them. You put one foot in front of another, things are linear, things work the same every single day, and suddenly we tell you that when you cross the bridge, they don't. Crossing the bridge is going to an unknown place, which is a multidimensional place. A multidimensional place where counting actually is not possible, where time seems to float around. It's the stuff that's made of dreams, or you might say the dreams are made with this. It doesn't follow the linearity of your day-by-day life. There are things on the other side of the bridge that are totally and completely yours. You just haven't figured them all out yet. It's like going and finding many, many boxes, and somehow you realize, I've packed them all. That's my handwriting. I've used that wrapping paper. I used to make bows like that. Or you say, that's my favorite way of wrapping. I used to make corners like that all the time as a kid. And you recognize at some level that every single package you have wrapped, but you don't know what's in any of them. And then you start realizing some of them are not in the right place. Some of them are floating. That's not possible in your reality. And then you start opening them. And you say, oh my, where did that come from? I've been waiting for that for so long. I remember this. At some level, I remember this gift and this tool. Oh, it's so good to see you again. It's like an old photograph that is so meaningful to you that you might say, I remember this. These were the days. That is a metaphor. And it's a metaphor for revealed truth. That is what's in your soul. Come with me right now. Let's cross that bridge right now. Come with me. You go to this area with all of these packages, and you see there's so much here I never saw before. Those of you who have done this with us over and over, for all of these episodes, may see things you never did before, or be aware of things that you've never seen or done because of this place starting to be more familiar to you. Let's go to that theater right now. There is more than a theater here. But this particular meditation in the Circle of 12 is specifically about this theater. A theater in the round with a sunken stage. A chair that you haven't figured out truly yet. A chair, when you sit in it, you face one direction, and yet I've told you it faces all directions. How can you look in all the directions at the same time? And the answer is yes. Because it is a multidimensional place, these things are simply there and happening. Let's go there. When you're here in this place, it is you. Oh, if I could tell you, it drips with the integrity of truth about you. Where there is no beginning and no end, that soul is you. It has always been here, it always will be, and you are temporarily on this planet visiting this permanent place yet again. A permanent temple, you might say, yet again. Always there, always will be, a part of the Creator you are. And you come from this planet, and you come here in this form that you are right now in order to revisit a core truth of you. Let's sit in that chair. I want you to go down into that audience and back up to that platform, which is the stage, where there are all of the lights. We're always here in this Circle of 12, and I want you to sit in the chair for a moment. Go ahead, sit down. Again, the audience fills up. You cannot see who is there. And you're used to some kind of specific interaction. But there are those who said, when do we have time to just sit without a purpose, without a lesson, and just be? This is a meditation. So today we're going to just be. Only in the just being, there are questions that you may ask yourself. And as you do, your intuition are the feelers, where the audience will start answering them, not verbally, but with the wisdom of the ages. You will see and feel and be aware of answers as they come flowing in, as you sit there in total and complete silence, except for the music that you hear playing right now, which is the music of the circle. It is the beauty of the healing that can be yours. The questions ask you before we started in meditation. I want you to think for a moment, sit in the chair, why am I here? And I want you to hear the answers to every single question you're going to ask from this audience, from the ages, from these ages of the past, including your own past life, who know the answers. Every single question right now. Some of you come with a question perhaps that so many ask, why me? Why me? And there is a beautiful answer, so that you can go beyond the why me, so you can get out of yourself, so you can move on to something and live a grand life. Is there a reason for my being here? Go ahead, ask it. What is the purpose of my life? Go ahead and just sit there. And when you're in your soul energy and this audience is around you, dear ones, they have answers. And these answers are not three-dimensional answers. You might ask, why do I have this disease? And some will float to you, and immediately you'll get it, and you'll hear an answer, because of your magnificence. And that won't make sense until later. And you'll start to understand you are known by the universe. You're known by those from the ages. You're known by all of those who have core truth and want to speak to you now in a very silent and gentle and quiet way while you simply sit and ask questions. But I'll tell you, every moment you sit in the chair, there is a healing energy starting to buzz with you, because you are getting answers from the other side of the veil. And this is where it happens. Answers from the other side of the veil, just for you, specific answers. What shall I do next? And the intuition starts buzzing. This is where you get the answers. Intuition meets the logic and the reality of who you are. I want you to stay here quietly and ask whatever you wish, and sit. At the same time, the healing energy is here, because that's why you're here. To leave this place differently than you came, but knowing this place was one of the most real places you'll ever visit, because it's permanent. It's permanent. And so it is.